What does that sound, you ask?
From the number one station, you come.
Welcome to the Rec Show podcast, a show dedicated to beatmakers around the world. Kick back, relax with the host, Golden Mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Yo, peace and love, everybody. Yo, this is Golden Mind here for the Rec Show podcast, man. Just putting y'all on, letting y'all know the homie Brown Jewel just dropped Jewel Flips Volume 1 right now on Bandcamp. Right now, the name of this track is called Now. Amazing album. Brown Jewel, you did it again. Yo, y'all need y'all to go check this out, man. I'm gonna let y'all hear this, and then we're gonna get into the interview, all right? Like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Yeah. All right, peace, everybody. Golden Mind here. Welcome back to another episode of the Rec Show podcast, man. Yo, thank y'all for tapping into the J Dilla edition that came out last week, man. I know it was Dilla month last month, so I tried to do something in order to, keep his memory alive and stuff like that. Y'all go ahead and check out episode number 84, I believe it is, in the archives. Go ahead, check that out, rate on it, all that type of stuff. And then I'll put out another tweet that goes with February's episodes, man. We had some dope people come on. Remy from Koala Beatcast. We had Q No Rap Name, and and then the J Dilla edition, but then we also had a special edition inside of that as well. So, yo, we are into March. You know what I mean? It feels weird. The sun is out all crazy hot and stuff like that. And, we are going to the islands, man. We are going to Saint Vincent and the Grenadines, man. My very first beatmaker, music producer from the islands, man. That's all we worldwide here, bruh. I'm telling y'all. So tap in, follow the Rec Show podcast, man. I got a beat maker, got a unique sound, man. He works with some of the dopest lyricists that I've been listening to lately, and I came across his profile accidentally, and then I just went down the rabbit hole and did the research and all that type of stuff, man. So I asked him to be on the show. He graciously said yes. So, I want y'all to welcome the one and only Algorythm C. Welcome to the show, my guy.
Oh, man. Gold Mine. It's a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me. I was going to say Gold Man. Gold Mine. Thanks for having me, bro.
I got you, man. Thank you for being on the show, man. I'm honored. And man, I only gave a little bit of an intro, but for the beat heads that don't know, you know what I'm saying? And they should know after this episode. If not, they should slap themselves. Go ahead.
They're going to learn today.
They're going to learn today. They're going to learn today, yo. Go ahead and just, tell the people, tell the internets, like, who you are, how your name was created, any affiliations that you might be associated with as well.
Definitely. Yeah, so my name is Algorythm C. Hashtag Algo C. That's the movement right now. And a little bit about me. I'm from the Caribbean, as mentioned. I'm from the island, Saint Vincent and Grenadines, residing right now in LA, Los Angeles. But that's my two homes right now. I love Saint Vincent and the Grenadines, and I love LA as well because I kind of grew up here as well. Yeah, but the name Algorithm C, it's very unique. I actually picked that name. I was actually gonna do like a major, a minor in college, computer science, and unfortunately I didn't pursue it. But that's where I came up with the name because I was looking like for a beat name, and I'm like, man, what could I use? So I kind of wrote down a list of names. And Algorithm was one of the ones that would kind of intrigue me because the first project that I was going to put out was going to be called Sequence, which is the first album that I put out. And I was like, I need a name that's very technical, a name that's very, and this is before Algorithm was even being, now it's used more loosely. Now when we think about social media, we think about algorithms and how the algorithms kind of play part in how we see information and how information is placed and sorted and so forth. So so I was like, you know what? The name of the album Sequence is basically a sequential list of tracks that would show like the progress of at me at the time when I was producing at the time. And so then I came with Algorithm, and I was like, you know what? My first name is Crispert, so let me just take the Algorithm and then put C at the end, and that's how I came with Algorithm C. So from there, that's how I got the name Algorithm C, and I was like, I'm just gonna stick with it. I'm not gonna change it, and I've been rocking with it ever since. And now it's like, shout out to my guy Architron, another producer from Philly. He recently, I went to a beat show, and he was like, I'll go see. So I took that, I was like, I'll go see. It's like kind of like a play on, like, if you really want to do like play on words, it could be like, I will go and see. But I was like, okay, let me just take ALGOC and then hashtag it. And I've been using that hashtag for a while now. So I'll go see is the movement now. And as far as beat collectives, no, I don't really have a group that I rock with, but right now it's me and another producer by the name of EQ the Slapmaker, and we have another movement as well called EQ times AC. So I guess you could say that's a collective that we're starting this for.
Yeah, we gonna talk about EQ the Slapmaker too, because y'all got something coming out. So we gotta plug that. But okay, that's super dope, man, the way you came up with your name, man. I almost started with the whole Wu-Tang name generator joint, but I was like, nah, I ain't gonna do that one, because it was gonna be like, Killer Bees, something. It's like too long, so but that's super dope, man. So okay, I gotta ask this, man. How long have you been making beats?
Man, since 2000, I'll say since 2002, man. And the story behind that is I've been using FL Studio since then. I haven't used any DAW since
FL gang. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen all the versions of FL throughout the years, all the crack versions too. But the story behind production was that I went to this shout out to Rancho Cienega in LA, and it's a gym where they had a computer lab in the back, and another producer by the name of K21, one of my friends, man, he's a producer, and he was going in this lab, and I was like, I would go in there and I would just see cats just making beats instead of, I was like, what are they doing in here? Just, instead of working and doing like actual, computer stuff, they were just making beats. Everybody had, so I guess the person that was managing the computer lab at the time, he put FL Studio on some of the computers. So I saw them using that, and I was like, man, my parents had just recently bought me a computer when I was in high school. So maybe like in 2000, Y2K. And so I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna put that on my computer. Yeah. So I put it on my computer. My buddy K21 would come over. He would make beats because he didn't have a computer at the time. So he would come over, and he already had the music production down. So I saw him, and I was like, oh man. So then when he would leave, I would go back to his project and, you know, see like how he was moving it. You know, he was penciling a lot of notes and things like that. And that's what really got me into music production. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So
2002, I've been off and on, you know, life happens. I got married, had kids, you know, but yeah, it's always been like a hobby for me throughout the years. And now it's starting to become more serious.
Right. Crazy how that comes back around, right?
That's right.
Yo, man. Okay. Great, man. So, are you trained on any like music instruments or anything like that?
No, I'm not. But I will go back because I've had this question. I have to question myself, like, where did the music inspiration come from? My dad, he was in a band. He was in a gospel band back in the day in the Caribbean and the islands. Shout out to the Temple Air String, and he would play. He's very skilled with the instrument. So he plays everything by ear. He's not trained at all. He plays everything. He played the guitar, the trumpet, the bass. So, you know, I've always seen him in there, and, you know, and being in church, I was always, you know, as kids, we would always be mesmerized by the drummer. So drumming is like something that I love by nature. So when it comes to instruments, I could say what gravitates me to the most is the drum. Yeah. So, and I love percussion. Like, I could just start knocking on anything and just make a beat sequence or just a beat pattern out of anything that makes sound, like as far as percussion. So yeah. So to answer your question, I think percussion is that. Yeah, it's that.
So you got it's in your blood, man. Your dad is doing, you know what I mean, instruments by ear, and then you're in church, so you getting trained. You know what I mean? Like,
that's right.
That's your training ground right there, yo. Your pops and church right there, man. So
that's right.
I got you. So okay, besides your pops, that was, you know, in a band and then doing his thing with all the different instruments and stuff like that. As a kid, what were you like? Who were you hanging around, and you know, who were you seeing doing like this, either making music or like what were you listening to as a kid?
Man, you're good, man. This is really really great question.
Yeah.
So when I think back of like what really influenced me was just, you know, the music around me, dance hall, a lot of soca music. Calypso is very popular from where I'm from in the islands, and Saint Vincent, the Grenadines. Calypso is very big. So, you know, just having that, the essence of music and the rhythm. Soca music is very fast and up tempo. You know, you would hear people sing calypso songs that had a lot of political meanings in them. You know, like the Mighty Sparrow and a lot of local calypso artists. You would hear them singing. Where we stayed was like overlooking like a park, a Victoria Park in Saint Vincent. If you come to Saint Vincent, you know what that is. And we would see, you know, me and my siblings, we would see like carnival. We would hear performances from our house, because our house was like, just not too far away from a stadium or a park, where people were playing music all the time. So. But I think when I think back of like how hip hop in particular influenced me was a student who went to New York. He came to New York in the summer, and he came back. And when he came back, he was beatboxing. He was doing the, and his name was Chewy Chew. So shout out to Chewy Chew, man. And I'm gonna send this to him too, so he knows that I shout him out. But Chewy Chew was very popular. And when he came back, you know, doing that because he went to New York. So when he came back, I don't know if it was just a New York influence or whatever, because, you know, down in the islands, we're used to just soca and calypso and dance hall. But he came back and he was doing and so when he did that, that influenced me, and I was just like, you know what? In hip hop, the beat making process of doing the beatboxing is what really inspired me to keep it, you know, evolving as far as it relates to hip hop. So even the beatboxing is what I love to do, like initially, and then incorporating that with just the drum and the percussion from church. That's what really, shout out to Chewy Chew, man. He's the one that really inspired me as far as the beatboxing. And then, you know, flash forward to now, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's one of the 5 million elements of hip hop, beatboxing. You know, because, you know, if you didn't have a massive ceremony, you didn't have a DJ, you know, if you want somebody wanted to kick some flyer rhyme, the beatboxing was so easy. You know, so if you didn't have a table, you know, you could just start beatboxing. So the beatboxing is a strong influence in even my music production and beat making process.
Absolutely. Yo, man, shout out to, who is it, Chewy Chew?
Chewy, man. Chewy, yeah. He calls them Chewy.
Chewy Chew, man. Shout out to Chewy Chew for inspiring you, man. Like, yo, okay, so listen, man, hip hop, and for the listeners, man, for y'all, if y'all don't know, man, this year we're celebrating 50 years in hip hop, yo. Yeah. So the elements that he just talked about, beatboxing, you know what I mean, MCing, DJing, that's all incorporated inside of hip hop, man. So that's just us as human beings being creative. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, if you can make a beat with your mouth and somebody can rap over it, yo, that's, you know what I mean? Like, that's...
Yeah. And the crazy thing is that in high school, I remember a couple of times cats looking for me like, hey, where's Chris at? Where's Chris? Because they wanted to kick a couple of rhymes. And I remember I would hang out at the basketball courts a lot during lunch and nutrition. And I remember a couple of times the cats were like, hey man, we need you to kick a beat because these cats want to battle each other. So I remember 1 or 2 times, because they knew that I beatboxed with in my mouth, so they came and looked for me, and I was just like, I was right there. I just went straight to it, ran out of saliva. But man, every time beatboxing is just, even when I'm just sitting down and I'm making a track, I'm already thinking about it, just by picking it easily with my mouth.
Gotcha. That was because that was going to be one of my questions too, as you know, the pillars of hip hop. And there you go. You started with kind of like I think beatbox is incorporated in DJing, but they made it his own category. So, hey man, beatboxing is super popular overseas. I mean, it's popular in the States, but overseas they have tournaments.
Oh yeah, it's another level. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and people even it's not even just limited to hip hop. It's also transcended into like EDM and a lot of these other because people start making like certain noise like stuff like that, where they can go a little further than just hip hop itself. They can go into other genres and still create that sense of rhythm and that sense of musicality. So
that's beatboxing, man. So listen, out for all my beatboxers out there, man, that be like, yo, I don't know how to make beats. Like, you can make a beat with your mouth, yo. Like,
that's right.
Timbaland is a perfect example of when he came onto the hip hop scene, man. He was literally making beats with his mouth and making them pop super popular, yo. Like, go back in Timbaland's discography when he was doing projects with Timbaland and Magoo and who else, man? That's even that Aaliyah and the whole Missy Elliott. Yeah, man. So
when you hear him go, just even it doesn't even have to be like a rhythm, a beat. It could be just like sound effects, or just taking his voice and just adding that, his signature to it. Yeah, it's incredible.
Exactly, man. So okay, so you beatboxing, you know what I mean, in between periods in school on the basketball court, but then you also go into a lab and people are making beats in FL Studio, and you've been making beats since 2002. When did you know it was time to let like everybody else or hear your music, hear your beats?
Okay, so that would be when that's a great question. I think you could say when I started going to this thing called Club Zion here in LA, and it's you're probably familiar with like what's it called, verbs, what is that? it's in Leimert Park, and it's very popular. It's very popular. A lot of LA well-known cats, they go to that event, and but it's more MCing at that event. But this was a Christian it was like a Christian space, but it was open to everybody. It was open to whoever. And it's funny how crazy how LA is kind of small, but we had that event there, and me and my sister, we were like, okay, you know what? I told my sister it's time for us to, we should start actually making music as far as like a full production of music. So there are 1 or 2 songs that I made, but it hasn't been put out yet. So we decided to perform it there at Club Zion, and it was crazy. We were able to do that. So, and that was like probably like around 2006, 2007. Yeah, so I think you could say around that time, 2006, 2007 is when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna start putting out the production. And I'm trying to remember if Myspace was, if I was putting out music on Myspace. Like I feel like I was.
Yeah, it
Myspace
was
popular at the time, and I was putting out actual beats on Myspace because I wasn't like into the game yet, like how some cats were putting it out on SoundClick or some of those popular sites that were you would buy a leased beat or something like that. No, I wasn't really doing that at the time. I was just more just trying to figure out the sound and still build some confidence in putting it out. Yeah, so I think we put out like 1 or 2 songs. The 1 or 2 songs we created, I put it, we performed it live. But as far as like actually putting out music, I think it was like on MySpace, like 2007.
Yeah, yo, man. So, everybody be starting with this MySpace, man. Like, MySpace was popping.
It was. Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. The Tom, the guy Tom on MySpace, I don't know. He kind of messed it up for everybody. I don't know.
Yo, I can't remember. Well, it was one of my guests, man. He's I'm trying to remember who it was. He said, I think it was Q No Rap Name. He said he was talking about MySpace. He was like, yo, people figured out how to code using MySpace.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's why he was like, that was his, kind of got a conspiracy theory. It's like, yo, they took it away just because everybody was figuring out that you could code on there and do whatever you want with the
because that was the essence of MySpace, is that you can configure, you can make your page look however you want it to look like. Yeah, but I think what really messed it up is when the hackers would start hacking the page, and you start seeing like a lot of inappropriate things. Yeah, because you just show up and then one day it's just like, oh yeah, the person's page is gone because somebody hacked into it. So I think maybe it was just for security reasons. Yeah, by all means, it teaches us a lot, but you have bad guys out there that would take something and misuse it, and defeats the whole purpose of it.
Right, yo. Okay, so I gotta ask you this, man. Like, I know, you've been doing this since 2002, yo. So you got some skin in the game. If you're able to thinking about it, can you name that one beat that you heard, either as a kid or all of this time in between that just messed you up, man? It's just like, yo, this beat is crazy, or it might be a couple beats by different producers,
Man, so I would say that when disaster strikes, and it's Busta Rhymes, When Disaster Strikes. I remember my dad brought home a CD. My dad's a Christian guy. He brought home this Busta Rhymes CD, and I was like, I was shocked that he even brought it home. And so I remember that the CD was kind of, it's kind of dirty in the back. So I'm sure whoever had it, they didn't take a good job to take care of it. But at that time, when Busta Rhymes came out and put your hands in my eyes can see, and When Disaster Strikes, that album, I listened to that album, sneaked and listened to the album so many times, and just bouncing that. So I guess, you know, at that time, maybe I could probably say Rockweiler or one of those producers. But that album is very influential. Busta Rhymes very influential at the time. I'm trying to narrow down to a beat that could that really gets me going. I would say, and then the Grinding by Pharrell Williams. I love that Grinding.
Oh yeah, the Neptunes. Yeah.
And you know, everybody was doing that on the tables, right? Yeah, it's like that's the one beat that everybody knows. Boom, boom, boom,
Right.
boom, 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 boom. So yeah, that. And then I will say there's one song, and it's produced. I feel like it's produced by. So there's a guy from Houston. His name used to be Spazzy Rocket. Now he's called Xavier Omar. He has a song, and it's called Hipster Girl. That's my favorite. One of my favorite songs of all time. And I mean, it's not hip hop, but it's very, very R&B-ish, yeah. And like that song, I can listen to that song all day long, man. Yeah. So I would say those songs for sure. That's a heavy hitter question.
It is,
that's a heavy hitter because yeah, there's so many ways you can go with that question, but I would stick with those three. Yeah, as far as just influence of the music and the sound that I create, and that I love growing up. Yeah,
yeah. Busta Rhymes is all through my childhood, man. So like I'm still in school in what 96 is when he came out with not When Disaster Strikes. He came out with his first album.
One before that,
The Coming. I think it's what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah. So I like every Busta Rhymes album from then on. Like I was buying it. I was going to Sam Goodies or something like that. Trying to get every single Busta Rhymes joint. So Busta Rhymes. No, the crazy thing is, man, like Busta Rhymes, I don't even think he knows, like, not just in hip hop or pop records, but in the beat community, like Busta Rhymes is used a lot, yo. Like,
oh yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Either it's just his ad libs or some of his verses. Like, yo, man, like
I think he knows. I think whoever his manager is probably sending it to him. Every little thing that they can see, or maybe he gets tagged in. I'm sure he's seeing it, because he's one of those guys that's very, very influential. I mean, he's one of those guys. Eventually, I learned that he's Jamaican background, and when you think about hip hop and how hip hop is, first came to the how hip hop was originated in the States, you still gotta link it back to Jamaica and the big boom boxes and the godfather of hip hop, Kool Herc, right? Yeah. Influenced by that Jamaican influence, where you would and which is funny because I have a cousin when growing up, and I remember he would take and that was the thing that was very popular in the islands in the late 90s, is that you would take your speakers. You buy big speakers with the purpose not to play them inside the house. You buy them with the purpose to face them outside, and you compete with your neighbors. So if you hear somebody wake up and they're playing Teddy Pendergrass one morning, you're like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna blow his speakers out because I'm gonna just take my speakers, face them outside, and then I'm gonna blast whatever I'm blasting. And I think that's how one thing I can recall in the islands that was very popular was just people you just kept hearing as you would drive by or walk by people's neighborhoods. You just keep hearing loud music playing outside. Yeah. So it's very interesting. Just how hip hop and how it correlates to that. Yeah. And Busta Rhymes is a pioneer for sure, without a doubt. Yeah. Yeah. I think when Disaster Strike came out, like 2020, like 2000, I think. Yeah. And even at that time, I wasn't really like engulfed in hip hop. I think when I really got into hip hop was more recently, like 2010, 2011, where I really started going backwards and learning more about a lot of hip hop, influences that I just heard, but I just never listened to that kind of
Okay. Yo, man, you know what, man? You just gave me an idea, man. I might have to do that whole put a speaker outside and just let it blast.
Oh no, you can't do that nowadays, man. You don't have that. That's a really. Well, I'm sure in the Caribbean you can get away with that, but here in the
city, yeah.
People are more reserved, more quiet. They don't want to hear a loud noise. They call the cops on you. Kind of stuff. So yeah.
Oh man, yo. Okay, so yo, man. You've been doing this for a while, and I got some mutants, man. When I say mutants, I got beatmakers that's like from other worlds, man, doing some amazing stuff with beats. Mm-hmm. Can you, and they're on this journey into, music creation and stuff like that, but if you can you recommend some like must read content, some must watch, or some must listen to, just as a like suggestion?
Oh, that's a great question. I know everybody's been talking about that Dilettante book, and
yeah,
and I feel like that's so popular just to say, but man, I don't. That's a great question. I wouldn't know. I mean, I think sometimes we got to stem back to. I don't know of any literature per se that I can recommend, but I think for a new music head. Just going back and listen to where the music comes from. Listening to jazz, listening to even like I'll probably say I'll put people on Fela Kuti. If you listen to I work with a Nigerian guy, and I never knew who Fela Kuti is, but now I could say who he is, where he's from, blah blah blah. But I remember listening in the car with him. We would drive to work. He would commute, and just listening to like music that's not even that's just world music. Listening to world music, I think it's always good to take that and listen to it, formalize it, see what the history of it comes from, where it comes from, and incorporate that into a sound. So because we live in the age now where everybody's using the same template, everybody's using the same format, and I think what makes certain producers like a Pharrell or like a Timbaland or a Pete Rock or Ninth Wonder, what makes them stand out is their ability just to find ways to be completely different off the grid and release. And I think that's the approach that I would go, is like look into different music, different so like for instance with Fela Kuti, you'll go back and listen to him. He's Nigerian, he is very influenced by James Brown, but when you listen to his music, it sounds like it almost sounds like a bunch of people just playing randomly in their backyard, like that kind of sound. But when you listen a little bit closer, the more you keep listening to it, you're like, okay, now I'm hearing the science behind why Fela Kuti is very influential and why his music transcends to the world. I mean, now it's like even Jay-Z has taken Fela Kuti's music and because now guys like Jay-Z, who's prominent, now they're going backwards and they're listening to guys like Fela Kuti, who came out in the early 70s and 80s, or I don't know if Fela Kuti, he goes back to the 60s, but I think it's 70s, I think. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough question. That's another heavy hitter. I don't know. Maybe I might have to go and look into some books, man.
You already gave a couple, man. So you already got the Jay Dilettante book, then Fela Kuti, which I think I just saw some of his albums on himself at Fat Beat Records. So
okay, Fat Beat, yeah.
Yeah, so and the crazy thing is I kind of discovered Fela Kuti when I can't remember who it was. Somebody else used a sample or something like that in it, and I was like, "Yo, who is this?" Yeah, I mean, because they
Jay Z, because it's Jay Z. Jay Z is the only one I could think of that really used Fela Kuti samples, yeah, and just the concept, because I think they have they had a play for Fela Kuti, like an actual Broadway play.
Oh wow!
And so and I think he took that. I don't know if it's because he went and he saw the play in New York or something, and he's just like, okay, like I gotta look up more of this Fela Kuti guy. But yeah, you're saying, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you good. I didn't even know it was a play. They created a play for Fela Kuti. That's super impactful, yo.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because now we live in even these past few years, you're hearing a lot of people like, oh yeah, I need to go back to the roots, go back to Ghana, go back to Nigeria, go back to West Africa, because that's where as African Americans, or if you're African, that's where you're especially for us who live on the West, our roots stem back to that. So for a lot of people, like Nas, when you listen to King's Disease, you're hearing a little bit more of a Afrocentric sound too in some of those beats, because everybody's tapping back into that, to where the Africa. Yeah. So yeah, Fela Kuti, man, very influential. I love Water Has No Enemy. I don't know if you ever heard that song. Yeah.
I haven't, but I'm gonna listen to it though.
Water Has No Enemy. Yeah.
They're just the title is like.
Yeah, and them singing it in like how a Nigerian would talk. Water, they got no enemy. That kind of and that's another thing Fela Kuti with, because the band is just playing. They'll play. Sometimes the song is like 10 minutes or 20 minutes. Yeah, just the one song. Yeah, and they're just jamming. Yeah, so yeah, man, it has feeling. The music has feeling, and if the music has feeling, that. As a news producer, who hasn't produced in a long time, if you can feel it, you can't go wrong. Yeah.
The feeling, man, you gotta have a feeling, right?
Yeah,
for it to stick, you know what I'm saying? Like, how your grandmom and grandpops, if they was cooking, your aunties was cooking, man, they like put feeling into the food.
That's right.
Same thing with music, Like if you put the feeling into it, it'll stick to the ribs, it'll stick in the mind, and then boom, you can never get it out, because it's always going to be a like a timestamp on that feeling,
Right.
Yeah, man. That's a jewel you just dropped, bro. That's that's a jewel you just dropped, So I got to ask you about a couple albums that you put out. One of them being Metaphysical with Unorthadaks, and Complexity, which is inspired by Guru Loop Kits challenges. Yeah. So can you talk about those two albums, man?
I'll be delighted to. Yeah. So the first one you mentioned. Well, I'll do Complexity first. Complexity. Okay. Shout out to my guy Donnie Joe. Donnie Joe created some drum loop kits, and you can check it out on Bandcamp. Donnie Joe, and he's a Guru Loop. The Guru Loop kit is where you will find it. He created these loop kits, and then he started this challenge, where the Guru Loop challenge. And every week he would pick random samples that he has in his sound design and put them out, and then you just create. So I pretty much did all of his challenges, and then I reached out to him. I was like, man, you know what? I could pretty much use this and make an album with it. And I was like, okay. I was like, you know what? One of these days, I'm gonna collectively put all of them together, mix them down the best way I could, and that would be a full project. Now the album cover, you see it's like a plant in the front of my house, and I took a picture of that, and I was like, you know what, this could be on the album cover. and I looked and I saw webs, like spider webs on it, and I was just like, yeah. I looked up the spider webs on a plant, and it was like the webbing is so complex. Even though it looks very complex, there is a science to their web, right? So when they create their web, it might look crazy or it might look very intricate, but this spider is creating this web, this complex web, so that they can make it simple to where they can catch the prey. Yeah, and so I think that's in the description of the title of complexity. But complexity, why it's unique is that it's all original sounds from the guru Luke Cook, and if I'm not mistaken, yeah, one of those tracks has I used the koala sample.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Algo koala beatbox. Yeah.
Yes. So that's everything. So that one is all, most of it. It's me beatboxing in that one. Yeah. So I took the original sound because koala is cool to where. So that one doesn't have any. I think it might have one or two. No. Okay. So the rest of the album, a lot of it is a lot of his samples. Yeah. So those are all of the Donnie Joe samples. Yeah. The Guru Lips. But that beatboxing one is just all me. It's all me beatboxing. Yeah. On there, because the koala sampler, it lets you record. You could just voice record right there. So I was like, I came up with the idea of just recording. Yeah, and Algorythm C, adding that little sprinkle in there. Yeah, so yeah, that was inspired by that album, and I love that album a lot, man. Complexity. Because even though there's some of the even though it might sound complex, there is some simplicity to each track. Yeah. So complexity was amazing. And then Unorthodax, we came up with that metaphysical. So shout out to Unorthodax. He lives in Florida. We came up with that concept together. We collab and give in mind that that was my sole purpose, even with these two albums, is just to collaborate with as many people as I can. So where those albums sit is like they came out of the me taking that initiative, like, man, I want to just collab with random producers and put stuff out. So with the metaphysical one, that one is good because we were just like, let's collab and make something. So we send each other samples back and forth, and we were just like, okay, you just take some of those samples, you make whatever you can make, I'm gonna make whatever I can make from that, and then we'll just put them together and then see what we come up with. And from there, Unorthodax is a super dope producer from Florida. He came up with the concept of, okay, let's call it metaphysical, because it's like an out of body experience when you hear the music. And yeah, man, when he came up with his portion, I came with my portion, and we collided it together. It was just like, man, dude, this is amazing. Nothing you would ever hear anywhere. Yeah. And he brought his style. I brought my style as well too. And yeah, it's dope. Yeah. So a lot of play on the words. Though, if you look at the title, the title of some of those words on Metaphysical, you get. Yeah, it's very chill, very cool, very smooth, man. A lot of smooth joints on there, and I'm proud to be able to do those two projects and collaborate with those two people, and so in two different unique ways. Yeah, that every collaboration has been unique thus far. Yeah, so salute to those guys. Salute to Unorthodax, and salute to Donnie Joe from the Guru Luke Kid. Yeah, check him out.
Yo, man, he like it. Even if, first of all, the cover of Metaphysical, I was like, yo, what is happening right now? Because I see the body coming like
levitating.
like the levitating or the soul coming out. So I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And then I press play and I'm like, oh, they on
Yeah.
this.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. And I think because that's more of a from a because Unorthodax he's like a photo design. He's into taking photos, and so he's very good with the illusions and a lot of the photos and the videos. Yeah, videography, and that's his lane. Yeah, he loves that. So so he brought that talent that he has into that and really illustrated that and really put emphasis on you having an out-of-body experience or you levitating when you hear this this project, which is pretty dope.
That's super dope, man. Yo, everybody that's listening, man, go ahead and check out Metaphysical, available on Bandcamp right now.
Bandcamp,
and then Complexity on Bandcamp as well.
That's right.
Yo, I gotta add one more album in. I usually do two, but I gotta add Abstract in there, yo.
Abstract, salute, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for adding it. Don't forget my guy, Lincoln Abraham. Abraham he's another guy. He's under that group that's with Stolen Drums, that collective.
He's with Controllerize?
No, not Controllerize. It's another one that's under Controllerize. This umbrella's under Controllerize, and I can't. It's not ringing to me right now. But yeah, he's dope as well. He's out here in LA. Shout out to him. But we were like, let's come together and come up with this project. And what are we gonna call it? I don't know. I was just like, maybe we should just call it Abstract. Yeah. So I came up with the name Abstract, and it's unique because I think he's an Ableton user if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he has this unique raw. It's not even techno. It's like he's hip hop. He's hip hop for sure, but he adds these different elements. So even with that, how we came across the Abstract was very abstract as well too. Yeah, I came up. I took some beats and I was just like, I sent them to him and I was like, see if you can flip these, or if you can add elements to them, So he took them and he rearranged took my some of the beats that I had that were original, and he made them even more original by adding his flavor, taking certain instruments, and I sent him all the stems and he took those stems and he pretty much rearranged it in such a way that, like, if I was sitting down, I would never create it and make that creative process happen that way. And it's very cool. It's such a cool album to the point where we're just like, hey man, let's just do it. We set a date and we made it happen and we put it out, and it's a very, very unique one as well, man. Very different. And it's even different. So we even did a cool thing too. We got an affiliate with one of the cubes. I don't know if you've ever seen. It's called a Shishibo cube actually. And I saw this Shishibo cube that was advertised to me on Instagram, and I was just like, "Hey, bro!" I was like, "I think we could probably take the instrumentals from Abstract and send it to them and create like a video and actually start selling these and have an affiliate." Yeah. So now we have an affiliate with Shishibo. Yeah. The actual product, and we're putting our music behind the product and promoting it, and that's been pretty cool too to do as well. So we took the music and actually doing product placements with the actual product, and that's been pretty dope as well. Yeah, we've seen some dividends from it.
which is a good thing, man, because it'd be struggle gang out here, if you just creating beats, so
that's right.
You got to come up with different ways in order to, create, but then also get paid for your time type of thing, so.
That's right.
But
so even Unorthodax, I think Unorthodax, he's helped us with the visual for a lot, some of the Abstract, when we were promoting Abstract, and so he was just like, man, I think Lincoln Abraham, shout out to Lincoln Abraham again, he was like, hey man, because when I agreed to make the there was a conflict at one point. We agreed to do abstract, and while I was coordinating to do abstract, I was also coordinating to do metaphysical. So I was just like, okay, which one is going to come out first? So I think metaphysical came out first, and then abstract came out after. Yeah, but when Lincoln Abraham saw what we did with metaphysical, he's like, bro, we need him for the visuals for abstract. And so some of the visuals that you see for abstract is from Unorthodax too. So it's all a collective, and just there's no shade and no competition. It's just like all of us just collaborating together. You can't ask for anything better than that, So, so that was dope. Yeah.
Got you, man. Yo, man, that's super dope, man. Like that's what I'm going down the rabbit hole of your discography, and deep on Bandcamp, and I'm like, yo, man, like all 3 albums are completely different.
Yeah,
they all sound dope, So I'm like, I gotta ask him about these, man. So, yo, man, amazing breakdown. Let me ask you about you're as a kid, but then now as you're a grown man, you're a husband, you're a father, you're a beat maker, I think you're a gardener too, right?
I do a lot of
I see
in the backyard. Yeah.
I see your joint on cherries.
Yeah, okay, nice.
So I was like, oh, really? That's what you do?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I mean, can you tell me about like how gardening and creating beats, like,
or how they
like hand in hand, yeah.
Well, being from the islands, and that's the one thing about growing up in the islands, that you saw we cultivated a lot of things on the ground. A lot of you will see mangoes on the tree that is in season. You just pick them and you don't even you just pick them and you just eat them right there. You don't even wash it. Sometimes wash off because it's so organic and so raw that things grew. And Saint Vincent is a volcanic island, so the soil is rich. There's so many things that grow there. Sugar cane used to grow there. Bananas, those things got broken down by the hurricanes. But throughout the years, things would just grow, and grow, abundantly and rich. So even coming here, when living here in the U.S., my grandma, she was really big on, taking, things that you might eat and then just putting them into the ground and just watching them grow. And so here where I live, I have a decent sized backyard. So I'm just like, man, you know what? Whatever seeds I get or whatever I want to plant, like I have some goji berries. I plant that, and I think I bought that one. I bought that tree, and just water it and just watch it grow. So even it correlates with music, and beats in particular, because you're taking raw sound, and layering it, and just experimenting. Even if you're musically inclined, you're taking. I like the Count. I don't know if you've ever seen the Count on IG.
Oh yeah, he been creating.
Where he takes
crazy
random. Like, who would think to put like a snare drum with the tambourine and a cowbell and put them together, and you get and play and hit them at the same time, and you get a unique sound. So I feel it's the same with that. You could take sounds and you water it by pretty much adding your unique approach to the sound. And I'm sure we have a lot of throwaways. We have a lot of bad seeds that don't
don't bear good fruit. Yeah.
They don't sound good. Yeah, they don't sound pleasing to the ear, and you talk to them. Yeah, and there was one guy I was listening to. I think it was Nothing New or something like that.
Oh, Nothing New, yeah, New York.
Nothing New. One of those guys is saying that you gotta have a trash folder.
Oh yeah.
No, I think it's the guy from Texas. He's talking about having a trash folder, so you can save them in the trash folder, and you can always come back to them and revive them. Yeah, and I feel like even like with the I'm going on tangent now.
Nah, you
with
good?
with the music and planting, I think they go hand in hand because it's just like, man, it takes time. Just like, talk about seed time and harvest. Same way with music. When we take our time to sit there and produce and create, that takes time, out of your day. That takes time out of your months and years to create a final product. So sometimes people see the final product, but they don't know how much mileage we put in. And it's the same with just like when we bear fruit, when we plant seeds, when we plant trees and things like that, and we want it to bear fruit. It's going to take time to bear fruit. So, so you can never rush the process. There's some things that can get done quicker than others. It's great to prioritize, but at the end of the day, I think any good product, any good project that you put out is going to take time, and you let it brew, and you sit there, you listen to it. Or how could I make it better? Does it need to be a little bit wider? I need to take certain things out. I'll get to do that, but you'll see. Yeah, people see the fruit that from the time and the labor that you put in. So that's how I correlated with it. Yeah, and one thing I've been doing a lot of beat battles, which is something that's kind of added to my. So I guess you could say my music career. I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing a lot of beat battles like since 2013. I think that's when I was just like, I have a lot of beats on my computer, and I need to put these things out. I need to share it with the world. So I started doing beat battles, and what I noticed is that so shout out to Beat Grade. I did a couple beat battles with them and connected with a lot of producers too that you might see that are working now. They're all kind of tied to Beat Grade. So Beat Grade hasn't been around in a while. It might come back, but they're kind of similar to how like Low End Theory and some of the LA scene producers, lounges and stuff like that, how they kind of came across. But what I noticed is when I would play those beats, it wasn't just the fact of battling the beat. It was just the people's reactions that I enjoyed the most. So and people can tell when your beat wasn't up to par. It's like you can just feel the sense of the crowd and just how like almost like the crowd is shrinking. Versus to where like I remember the first time I played a Busta Rhymes. There's a beat that I have that has Busta Rhymes in it. And just everybody was just like their eyes kind of just lit up, and I was like, "Dang, okay, this is what I need to make more of." Yeah. So people would tell you your fruit too, like if your fruit is good or not. Yeah, people would you would see the reactions. Yeah, and that's what I enjoyed about being on a beat battle scene. And doing that was just like you learned a lot, like just even strategy of even a beat battle. Now, like when I first started versus now, like if I come into a beat battle now, I'm bringing my best. Yeah. The first time I started off bringing like trying to be like, okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna play the one I think is the least best, and see how, if it might take me to the end. And I lost a lot of those ways. But the ways when I won is when I played my best first, and everything else came after. Because people resonate and they remember just the first round, and you could win off just the first round because it just blew everybody's socks off, and it just blew everybody's mind. Yeah, so yeah, man. So just even that approach is key, man. And you just learn by what you put out. So it's the same with the seeds. When we plant the seeds into the soil, there's some that might grow, there's some that might not grow, that might not make it, but still taking the time and the energy to do that is what is important. And I think as a producer, as a beat maker, continue just to put music out, and good or bad, and just let it go, man. So let it go to the people.
Yeah, man. Speaking of planting seeds, and then it's going to come and bear good fruits and stuff like that. You got an upcoming album coming out with EQ the slap maker called The Strand.
The
Yeah,
Strand, man.
yeah.
Shout
So
out to EQ.
yeah,
EQ
man.
is man, he's been in the game longer than me, man. And he's actually my brother-in-law, man. So
Oh wow.
we have a project prior to that called Bionic Commando. Bionic Commando was a game that I used to play, on NES. We took all the samples from that. It kind of has the 8-bit sound, and we made that project. That was our first project, which now leads up to the second project that's called The Strand. The Strand. Shout out to EQ the Slapmaker. He lost his mom. Salute to his mom. But he came down to LA and he was just like, he's like, bro, you know what? I just want to make this project. I'll find a spot where we can come together. And, when family comes together is always important. And he's just like, yeah, we'll just. I'll just bring my MPC and we'll just go from there and see what we come up with. So he picked a spot that was at Manhattan Beach, which is not too far here in LA, from the coast, from Venice Beach. Yeah, so Manhattan Beach is like 2 beaches over, and they have something called the Strand on Manhattan Beach. And I think when we had to, so we're trying to figure out, okay, we made the tracks. It took us like 3 days. Yeah. So every day I would come to visit him. We would spend I think we spent like a good 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. Each day. And it was like a weekend to make these joints. And he was just like, what should we name it? So while he was spending time, those 4 or 5 days that he spent here in LA and Manhattan Beach, he was just like, you know what? I've been walking around, and he was like, you know what? We should call this beat tape The Strand, because The Strand is one of the main, I guess, walking areas for the beach, for Manhattan Beach. And I was like, what's The Strand mean? So we had to look it up, and and if I can't, I don't want to misquote it, but I'll try my best to quote. So I think The Strand is it's like an area, like almost like a docking area, for the beach, if I'm not mistaken, But I have to Google that and look up the name again, But we call it The Strand because that's where we were when we made this project. So very sample heavy, and shout out to EQ the Slapmaker. I'll say without him, I would never be sampling. I probably would still be making just original beats, because at one point I was just against just sampling. I would sample, but I wouldn't sample heavy. So I learned a lot of techniques from him. I don't have an MPC still. I still use FL Studio, but the concepts that I've just learned from just sitting there and watching him create, on this MPC, I've learned a lot from him. So, and he's my family. So, anytime we come together, bro, we always make a hot one, man. And so that's what you're gonna hear with this new project called The Strand. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Does it have a release date yet?
So yeah, we're gonna release it. So you heard it first on on this podcast, the Rec Show. We're gonna release it April 1st. Yeah, April 1st is when we're gonna release it. Yeah.
Hey.
So doing a lot of promo for it these next coming weeks, and we're gonna just release it and see where it goes, man. Yeah. So it's gonna be fun. We have fun putting it together, and we look forward to it. Yeah.
Got you. Yo, we are excited to hear The Strand with you and EQ the Slapmaker, man. I'm excited to hear this joint, because if it's like your other collabs, but this one's more personal. So and you said you sampling, so I'm always intrigued and trying to figure out like what is the chemistry going to be like between y'all. And if you already said every time you come together, we making slappers, yo. So
yeah, that's right.
So
and he's from the Bay Area. He's from the Bay Area too. So so
shout out to the Bay.
Hey man, salute to the Bay.
Yo man. Okay, so last couple questions before we round this out. And give it some thought. As a kid, and now you're an adult. Are you able to name your top 5 beat makers as a kid, and then now as an adult, as your ear has matured and stuff like that?
And I still can't name that. just because like even with music I've kind of been off and on and like back and forth. So I listen to so much music that I can even narrow it down. I'll try and see. So as a kid, music production wasn't really like, it wasn't like a forefront. So I can't really narrow it down and say like I had favorite producers, because I was just listening to whatever was on the radio. With I wasn't collecting CDs like that to say, oh yeah, that's my favorite producer, this is my favorite artist. But let me see, I'll give it a stab. I can pull out 5 out the hat, but
and no genre is off limits either. It's not, it don't have to be just hip hop.
Right. So let's see. I'll say Pharrell. Growing up, Pharrell for sure. Yeah, Pharrell. I like Battle Cat.
Nice one.
In high school, everybody was crip walking at the time. Man, Battle Cat, wrecked the game. Battle Cat, Eastsiders, all those guys. Who else was popular back then? Dr. Dre, everybody loved Dr. Dre. Yeah, Dr. Dre was essential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who else? It's tough, man. You got the heavy hitter questions, man.
Yo, I know they these are like heavy questions, but they like on the spot. So it's kind of hard because you have so many years of music just in your brain.
Yeah.
How can you just pick and choose? Some of my guests are able to be like, yo, all right, this as a kid, I was listening to this. But then as an adult right now, I'm listening to this, and this,
Mm-hmm.
So
I would say DJ Quick is another one from growing up too. DJ Quick was very inspirational too. Yeah. But now it's just like, even now I don't even like categorize. I kind of just pretty much like, I listen more and study the sounds of like producers that I have built relationships with now. So like now that I'm older, I would say SP the Soul Prophet. I don't know if you ever heard of SP the Soul Prophet.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
SP, and we went to high school together. So so just I have that connection with him, and it's just like everything he puts out, I listen to it first, man. I'll hear it. Yeah. Now I like Ryan Leslie now, because even though I think when Ryan Leslie started going viral, it was in 2000.
It was 10, like 2010, yeah.
Around that time, yeah. But I love when he did that concept of just taking random instruments and just putting it together, and he's been producing. He's always been a producer first, and then him taking the fact that he went to Harvard and using that to show like, yeah, man, I'm a master of sound because I went to school for this. Yeah, yeah, I like that. Who else? Shout out to my bro Lonelier. I don't know if you ever heard of him too, but he's from Dallas. I love his music. He has that like the anime kind of sound, anime and hip hop fusing it together. So shout out to him. Willie B. So I don't know if you're familiar with Willie B, but
TDE,
yeah, TDE. But the crazy story, Willie B. I knew Willie B through my cousin Josh, and Willie B. I would see him all the time. He would come over to Josh's house all the time, and I remember one time they had a house party, and some of those beats that you hear, like the rigor mortis and stuff, I heard those beats back then before Kendrick even blew up, because I remember one time he had this white Willie B had this white old school car, like a Seville or something like that. And I remember we all walked down to the car and he was blasting the music out of the trunk. And I even remember one time too, I played a beat back then for him, and it was a beat that I chopped up from it's from Talep and Kweli, and it's called Move Something. I took that beat and I chopped it, and I haven't released it anywhere yet, but I chopped it up and I played it for him, and they listened to it. They're like, the concept is dope, but it's like they kind of gave me this like, it's all right, it was cool. But yeah, but shout out to Willie B, man. Willie B is another dope producer that throughout the years that he continues to well, I think now he's more focused on rapping now. He's not more of a producer heavy guy. He's more of an artist now, artist. But yeah, he's dope. He's another dope producer that I'm inspired by now. And then EQ the Slab Maker and Unorthadas, you know what I'm saying? Lincoln Abraham, the Waffle King from Chicago. That some cats that I'm messing with now. Donnie Joe, those guys. Anytime they put out something new, that's what I'm listening for. But mainstream, I mean, I'm not really listening to as much. The mainstream producers as heavy as much as I used to. Yeah, like Kanye West, I would listen to at one point, but kind of study it a little bit. But I can't really put him in my top 5.
I got you.
just to be different, yeah. That's blasphemy for some people. Like Kanye, that's not your top 5. Yeah, that's the GOAT.
Yeah, everybody's different, man. So everybody's different. Yeah. Okay, I got you. Here's the last 2 questions. So, what's the one thing you wish you knew before you started on your own music creation journey?
Man, that's an easy one. I'd say learning the keys, man. I'm very percussion heavy. Yeah, I love percussion. I can make percussion out of anything, everything. But as you start getting more into sound designing, and you get more into sound selection, I wish I did learn the keys more. Yeah, that's one thing I do learn. But as I'm progressing more with the music, I'm learning that that's not something I should truly regret, because I feel like if I learned music theory first, it would take away from the creativity that I have now.
Boxed you in, yeah.
So in a sense, it's something I wish I could have learned, but at the sense, it's just like I could only work with what I have now, and enjoy that to the fullest potential, to the fullest. So yeah, but definitely to answer your question, it will be learning the keys, man. Learning the keys would elevate my music to another level. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Got you. That's a good answer, man. That is a good answer. Okay. Yo, last question. What should and you already gave us one of the treats, which is the strand coming out that you got coming out soon. But what can the internets look out from, Algorithmic in 2023? What else you got planned? Any shows you trying to do? How can the internets tap into you and what you doing?
Man, I'm coming off the high of I've been also producing for a lot of Christian artists recently. So shout out to Peace to Iron, 11 Days Music. Shout out to Ant Thomas. I don't know if you heard that project that he put out called the Privilege Package, but there's a joint on there that I did. It's called Opulent. He's from Boston and it's fire. I just came off of a performance, man. It's called West Fest Revival, and it had some heavy hitters on there. Miles Minnick, who's a very popular up and coming Christian hip hop artist, he was on that card. So, and I was able to rep for the producers, man. Everybody was mostly artists, but I was the only producer that played beats live and interacted with the crowd and stuff like that. So, coming off that high, man, it really inspired me to really just still keep collaborating with people, still keep connecting with people. So I got a couple of projects that's coming out. You heard this strand. I do have another one coming out with the Waffle King from Chicago, and that one's called E-Tray, E-T-R-E. So we're just working on the album cover for that, but that one got some heavy hitters on there. I have this lady of mine, a lady of that I that's a good friend of my wife. Yeah, and her name is Sharetta, and her name she's over the years she's been taking some of my beats and flipping them, and
wow.
she's becoming like a DJ. Yeah, a DJ in the making. So now her name is DJ Shireen Marie. So I have a project with her that's going to come out in the summer. So look out for that. And I think it's called Summertime. I think that's what they called it. Summertime. What else? I think that's pretty much it. And I do have one main project that I've been stalling on for years, and it's called Passiflora. It's called Passion Fruit. And that one is coming out. Maybe I might push to get that one out this year, but I have some original dope artists on there. I'm still collaborating with some people on that one, but that one I should have been put that one out a long time. But that one is really dope too. That one is a concept based off of a passion fruit flower that I have in my backyard as well too. And this passion fruit flower, I went to cut it down, get rid of it, and it keeps blossoming and growing, man. And the fruit from it is sweet, but the more I kept reading into the actual passion fruit, I learned that it's based on the passion of Christ. And even the flower, when it flowers and blooms, it represents the disciples. It represents the crown that Christ wore. Yeah. So so that project, I'm still working on that, but you're gonna hear that one. That one is gonna be epic because I've been brewing that one for a long time. Yeah, and that's pretty much it, man, as far as projects, man. I'm always looking for ways to put the sound out there and then put on for the producers as well, because sometimes the producer, we see the full project with the artist, but sometimes the producer is kind of in the background, and I think it's time for us as producers to be on the forefront too. Be on those big cards, be on those big stages where you're just playing beats and people can still rock to them and there's no words, So that's my approach. Last year, and I was able to do that on a big stage, and I'm looking forward to keep doing that, moving forward too, man. And who knows, maybe you might see Algorythm C at Coachella or something. You know what I'm saying? You just never know where the world will take you. Yeah.
Got you. Yo, a lot happening this year. A lot of good stuff happening this year, man. We are tapped in. Everybody that's listening to this right now, man, go ahead and follow. Go ahead and follow right now, man. I'm gonna put all the socials in the description of the show, so you can go ahead, follow what's going on. Follow him on Bandcamp as well. All right, so y'all know, man. I got to keep plugging to follow on Bandcamp, man, because I don't think a lot of people know that you can follow your favorite artist on Bandcamp, man, that's just true. Like you do in Spotify, all that type of stuff. So so yeah, man, we definitely tapped in. A lot of good stuff happening, man. Some jewels you just dropped as well, man. I'm excited for what you got going on, man, and what you got coming out. So I want to say thank you. And then also I will be remiss, man. I'm a family man. I know you're a family man as well.
Yes.
So, any words for your, your girls and then your wife, that you want to say to them, man. Go ahead.
Right, man. Shout out to my wife, Francia, and my girls, Mariah and Nanette, and shout out to my family, man. I think family is important. Family is everything, man. Like, when you see a lot of people struggling now, they're just struggling because they don't have that village. They don't have the backbone of family, man. And family is needed. So, regardless to wherever you are in life, you might live in a dysfunctional family. When it's time for you to start your family, you can start a new page, man, and say, hey, you know what? These are boundaries we're gonna set up, and this is how we're gonna moving forward from this day forward. This is how it should be, And I think we need to bring back that nuclear family, man. I think that's important, and I think we need to do that. There's the Beat Club podcast is a podcast I sometimes submit my beats to, and there's a guy on there. His name is Motivate Marin, and I shout out to Motivate Marin. Shout out to those guys in Boston. He says there's something that he says all the time, and I think it's important for every family to always say to each other. But check on your loved ones and let them know that you love them. Yeah, and love is the answer and the cure. Check on your loved ones and let them know that you love them. Yeah, because there's times where we have family members and we just only see each other in passing, but sometimes it just only takes 15 minutes just to call your family member, ask them, see how they're doing, check on them, and that call can make that just 5 to 10 minutes can make a world of difference. Yeah, you just never know what people are experiencing or what they're going through. So, and they got to return the favor too. Keep that thing going, man. Keep that relay going. So, yeah, shout out to them, man. Shout out to everybody, man. From the Bugle Boys in Saint Vincent, Darren Kern, Jason, to my dad, to K21, man. Everybody, man, throughout the years that has helped me become who I am today. I won't be who I am without them. So, shout out to my family, man. Yeah, man. It's good to see families, man, thrive and come together like one.
Absolutely, man. Yo, I will concur with those sentiments, man. Family is super important. The village, man. Like we definitely have to get back to it, but that's another episode, man. You know what I mean? Like, because we can talk about that heavy, So, but yo, man, I just want to say to everybody that you just named, thank you for supporting Algorithmic, because yo, man, he, like you said, like he wouldn't be here without y'all, So y'all supporting him.
Also too, man, shout out to the Rec Show, shout out to Gold Mine. Man, you're gonna see my name now, man. Don't be surprised when you see a lot of shares and follows, and when you see producers reaching out to you, man. Because it's all about community. Now you're a part of my village, I'm a part of your village. So shout out to you, man. Thanks for having me on this platform, and I truly appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. Yo, I'm honored, my guy. Like, yo, man, like, the first island born, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yeah, shout out, man. Shout out to my Vinci Massive. Shout out to all my West Indian Massive, man. Yes, sir, man. It's definitely great to be the first of something on your show, bro.
Yeah. I'll be trying out there, man. Yo, so I want to thank you for your time again. Thank you for the jewels. Thank you for just the perspective of your music and how you grew up in your music and where you're going with your music as well, and as an artist and as a family man, all that type of stuff. And we are definitely tapped in. Everybody,
I gotta say shout out to one person too. Shout out to Shem and Shan, man. Those guys too as well. They put me on to the music as well. I gotta make sure I put their names in here too, man, because hip hop and music, it won't be popular without them as well. Yeah. But yeah, go ahead, man. I'm not bad. I have to say that.
Get it out, yo. Go ahead, man.
All the shout outs, man. It sounds like I'm on the radio station. Shout out,
Yo, you got it, man. That's the feeling I like to have anyway, yo. So because I just remember listening to the radio as a kid. People would call up, y'all want to give a shout out to such and such and such. Yeah, man. Well, we all good, man. But yo, thank you again for your time.
Most definitely.
And we are definitely tapped in, man. Keep doing your thing. And whenever you have stuff coming out, like, you can always come back on the Rec Show podcast, man. Y'all, like you said, I'm part of your family. You're part of mine. Let's get it, yo. All right, my guy.
All right, man.
All right. Yo, peace and love, everybody. Yo, that is the show. We are going to go ahead and close it. I want y'all to run this back, share this. Comment on this podcast, on the episode as well. Share it on your socials, and then also, just, get the word out. If you can support the podcast, go ahead to the link tree, support it that way, and that's how we're gonna rock, man. So I want to wish everybody peace and love. Make sure you count your blessings, not your problems. And I'm gonna see y'all on another episode of the Rec Show podcast, man. Peace and love, yo.